The softball team had quite the weekend on Sunday. Most of their games got rained out over the past week, but they did play on Sunday at Lynn Field. They had the Suny-Canton Kangaroos come into town from upstate New York. The Pioneers were able to come away with a victory in Game 1, 3-2. That one took 10 innings to get through. In international softball play, you always get an automatic runner at second base, but it did not matter for either team as it took all 10 innings to finally get Julie Campbell the game-winning single. Amanda Artiger, a fantastic game, 5 for 5 in Game 1. In Game 2, the Pioneers beat up on Suny-Canton 9-2. Pasenka 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs. The Pioneers improved to 7-4 overall with the wins on Sunday. Let's bring in Kevin Calhoun, our softball analyst, for this one. And Kevin, the bats were very quiet there for most of the day on Sunday.
Yeah, they were. When you talk about a 10-inning game, when you're getting a runner on second base, you know the bats are quiet. And this is really what this team's been struggling with. The pitching's been there. It's just been moving runners across and getting runners across. You're talking about a team. They've scored 43 runs in 11 games. That's almost 4 runs a game. That's not too bad. However, in that first game, you saw them slack back a little bit, but then in the second game, obviously 9 runs puts you right back at the average.
And luckily for the bats, the pitchers have played absolutely fantastic softball. They have been throwing very well from senior leadership with Kristen Zelenka all the way down to the freshman with Lindsay Inzana, who's also playing very, very well right now.
Oh, yeah, and they're pitching by committee. This isn't a team that needs players to go a complete game every day. You can bring in 2, 3, 4 pitchers a game if you need that because of how deep they are. It's just going to see over the course of the season, you need the bats to start showing up as well with consistency. This team only has 2 players hitting above 400, and only one of those has more than 20 at-bats on the season.
And, you know, back to the pitchers for one other second there, who came in late in that game was Kelsey Robertson.
Yes.
In her 2 years here, she probably pitched the best game I have ever seen her pitch over the course of her career here at Point Park. She came in for Zelenka late in that game. She had 7 or 8 strikeouts, just silenced that Suny-Canton team.
Yeah, and this is a Suny-Canton team that, we have to be honest, sitting at 1-11 right now. This is not a great team. Carlo beat up on them last week. However, you know, you got to get the wins that you need to get, and Robertson did her job, and I wasn't at the game, but I talked to you before the show. If she goes out there and she's pitching that well, that is a great sign for this team early on.
Also, Abby Heigl is coming in there and pitching well, too. She came in relief of Inzana there in Game 2. Something that really worried me in Game 1 was the fact that this team is also committing a lot of errors. They had a couple there early on in the game. The Suny-Canton were hitless through about 4 or 5 innings, and they scored 2 runs on no hits.
Yeah, and that's something we've seen from both the baseball and softball teams the last 2 years, Josh. It's really been a plague for both teams is the fielding percentage, and I think that's something that'll just gel with time, and it usually does, no matter what league or what level you're talking about in baseball or softball. Is as the season progresses, players get more comfortable with each other. You know, you're trying to turn a 4-6-3 double play. Players get into position a little better. You just get used to playing with your teammates, better communication in the outfield. I think these things, they'll really start to go away. They'll taper off as the season continues, but you know, you gotta force through the storm early on.
Those skilled positions in the infield are very, very skilled. With Derunder playing that hot corner at third base, you have Pasenka that can play shortstop and second base. I haven't seen her play second before, except for yesterday there in that game, too. They turned a 5-4-3 double play. It looked fantastic there in Game 2. Let's show you the road ahead for the softball team here. Much like the men were last week, they are jam-packed this week with games. They go tomorrow to Geneva, an 8-6 ball club. That is a game, Kevin, that I'm very much looking forward to because this is, besides Marion that they played in Florida, this is going to be one of the better teams that they've had a contest with all year long. Then on Thursday, you go against Pitt Greensburg at home, a 2-6 ball club. You've got Fairmont State the next day at Fairmont State, 6-12 there. And then on Sunday, you wrap up the week against Penn State Fayette, an 0-2 ball club. Talked to Coach here earlier on today. She says that all of the pitchers will be going. And when we mean all of them, we're talking about all of them, from Zelenka, Heigl, Robertson, Inzana. Carnicella is going to go as well. They're going to get a lot of innings this week from a lot of different players.
I'm really looking forward to this Geneva game, Josh. They're 6-4 at neutral sites right now. They've only played 11 games. Finally get on the road, and against the above 500 team in Geneva, I think they'll be okay the rest of the week. I think they should be fine. But I'm really intrigued to see what happens tomorrow. Doubleheader against a good softball team on the road. It'd be a good test for them early on. I think we're going to have a lot to talk about a week from now, really where this team is in the season as opposed to right now.
What do you see them doing against the Golden Tornadoes? They're up in Beaver County. They're going to have a little bit of a road trip there, but they've already traveled to Florida, so I think they can handle a trip to Beaver County.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a huge issue. It's not too far.
If the bats wake up.
If the bats wake up, I see this team going 2-0 tomorrow because of the way the pitching is. They're pitching extremely well. You talked about the way Robertson pitched. Heigl back out on the mound tomorrow. You know, this is a team that really has a ton of potential on the mound, and if if they can get the bats swinging with consistency, you're looking at a dangerous team here.